Okay. Okay.
How you doing?
I'm good, Jason. How are you?
Very good.
Good to see you. Thank you for hanging out with me and having a chat.
Not a problem.
Yeah. So obviously you can hear me okay.
Yes.
Because they can't. They couldn't, but I think it's okay now.
Okay.
So, okay, everybody, let me know. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. You know what, Jason? I have this black cloud that hangs over my head, and it frequently storms. That's why I'm Calamity. Okay, you can hear me. Okay, good. Hi, Carol. Good. Okay. Let me see if I can get my chat going up here. Okay. So, Jason, good to see you. Really good to see you. It's been a little while since we have personally talked, so I appreciate you doing this for me.
Not a problem.
Yeah. So, while everybody's filing in here, I know a lot of the people know who you are, but a lot don't. So, could you just kind of introduce yourself a little bit? Tell us who you are. Oh no! What happened? Oh no! Hi, Jane. Where did he go?
Sorry, that was on me. That was on me. Sorry.
I was like, no, my black cloud, not again.
Excuse me for that.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, the last time that I saw you, besides, in your place doing your live stream, was I think you were out at Oklahoma, weren't you?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so yeah, there was a tornado that ripped through a small town called Barnstable, and a bunch of us, including Bear Independent and the well, not the Refuge Medical Group, but the Bear Independent tribe went out there to help. And I usually tag along when they have any of these events or they
Hmm.
go somewhere.
You're very generous in giving that way. I admire that in you. But now that we've got you back, can you tell us who you are? You know.
I guess for those that don't know, first of all, first and foremost, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. That's number one. I'm known as the Angry Prepper on YouTube. I was on a TV show a long time ago called Doomsday Preppers. I think it was the second episode. I think, I'm not sure. But anyway, that's how most of this whole thing started. It's kind of a TV show, a book I read years ago, and I started a channel, and it turned out to where it is today.
Why the name Angry Prepper?
The other names were just too a bit on the nose.
Hmm.
What was it? The chocolate prepper was too much. The black prepper, that was a bit on the nose. So I
Okay.
figured the angry prepper was a little bit of a. It rolled off the tongue a lot easier.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. There you go. Is it hot there in New York City?
It's disgusting right now.
Is it really? Do you have
Yeah.
air?
No, I don't. So the building I live in, which I'm just gonna pay it. I'm just gonna stop being fucking cheap. But if you put an AC in the window, they charge you, I think $300 extra a year, whatever it is. I'm not actually sure how much it is now, but at least a few years ago it was. So when my parents lived here, they refused to get an AC, and I'm like, that's bullshit. So, um, and the other problem is getting an AC in an apartment like this. I need something big for this living room, so I don't know
Hmm.
what size to get because this living room, as a lot of you guys can see, I might need two ACs in the window. I don't know yet,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
I'm definitely not going to not have an AC in the living room here. I have one in the bedroom, but I need one.
Hmm. You know what? This is funny. I had a friend the other day. He texted me a picture. He lives in Kentucky area, and he texted me a picture of somebody who had a portable air conditioner hanging out their truck window of their truck.
Okay.
And he says, "I love my state."
I've seen that before too. I've seen that a few times years ago, and I'm like, that's weird, but I guess it makes sense. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't do it. I would just fix the AC in my car. But
Right, right. I hear you. Okay. Well, hey, I know you got a show coming up with a special guest and stuff, so I'll get this going. Yeah. So Jason, I want to go back a little bit because I want to get to know you a little bit. What were you like in high school? I ask everybody this.
uh, I'm I'm pretty sure the same way I am now. A little more, or maybe a little less cavalier.
Okay.
But I was definitely a pain in the ass when I was in high school.
Did you do sports?
No, so in New York City, we don't
Oh,
have that luxury. Let me walk that back. Certain schools have the luxury, right? So I would say the outer boroughs, if you will, like Queens and Brooklyn, where they can build football fields. Some of those schools have the luxury, others don't. So the schools I went to, we didn't have the luxury of a football field or any kind of field for that matter. Even in college, I mean, in college, you had to travel to like Brooklyn or Queens or Bronx to play a sport for the
Hmm.
college you were in, which made no sense.
Okay.
But no, I didn't get to play. I didn't start playing sports until I became a firefighter.
Okay. Okay. Now, what made you want to become a firefighter?
It was something I wanted to do since I was a kid. I mean, since I was a child, I wanted to be a fireman. I mean, who doesn't? You know.
Right.
And then when you actually you're actually able to fulfill your dream, your childhood dream. I think that's one of the best things in the world.
Not very many people get the opportunity to do that. That's
No, not many.
is it is that something you still would choose to do if you could go back and play Magic Man? Would you have given yourself the firefighter job?
Yeah, I mean, I would have done it maybe a couple of years younger, but yeah, I would have definitely still done it.
Can I ask your age?
46.
Okay, I'm 53, so
Okay.
there it is. Um, so now, did you ever get involved with any kind of gangs, or did you have a problem with gangs, or anything like that?
Gangs are part of New York City lifestyle.
Okay.
I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people who didn't join gangs. I never did. I didn't see the allure. I didn't think I needed it. People who join gangs are normally from broken homes. Normally, I would say on a 95% scale, 95% of the people that join gangs are out of broken homes, whether that's abuse, absentee father or mother. That's
Mhm.
why a lot of people join gangs. My mother and father were here, so I didn't have that problem.
Okay. And so, are your mother and father, are they still alive?
My father passed away. My mother is still around, being a
I'm
pain in the
sorry.
ass. But yeah, it's fine. Listen, it's old age. It's to be
Yeah.
expected. I mean, your parents died. That's probably one of the hardest debts besides a child that you'll ever go through. But
Mhm.
because you've known them for so long, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and unfortunately, I hate to say it in such a callous way, but my mother's next, right?
Mhm.
She's 78, right? Well,
Mhm.
she's 78 this year. No, wait, sorry, she'll be 79 this year, and yeah, it's just a matter of time.
Okay, I see. Now, do you have any siblings?
I have one brother, one sister.
Okay. And are you married?
Yeah, married but separated.
Okay. And children?
5 kids.
5 kids. Okay. Okay. And so, are any of them are do they want to become firefighters and follow your steps, or what's up with that?
No, none of them have the. I hate to
Okay.
say it, but and it's not like they're watching this, but I tell it to their faces. They don't have the balls to do what we do. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we who choose to either become cops, firefighters, they don't have that grit. My daughter might, but she wants to be a nurse, so at least she has some kind of she has a goal in mind. The other three boys, I have no clue. You know,
Okay.
my oldest works for UPS.
Mm-hmm.
There is a fire department test coming up in the next couple of weeks, and I told him you should just think about filling out and taking the test. And he's like a hard no. I'm like,
Oh,
all right, man. Yeah. So, like I said, they don't have the grit, and so hopefully my grandkids grow a pair of balls when they're born. But my kids don't have that.
okay. Okay. Um, can we go back a little bit in your career? How long have you been a firefighter?
Well, the complex answer is it would have been 20 years if I didn't retire last year or almost 2 years ago, rather, because of the arm ticket, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I left. But I currently have 19 years in the firehouse. Uh, with the EMS and fire, it's about 24 years.
Okay. And I want to talk about your little bit about your EMS. And if you don't mind, can we talk a bit about 9/11?
All right, yeah, no problem.
Okay. So what happened? What were you doing? Give me a quick rundown of what happened.
All right, so the gist of it is, uh, I worked that night into the morning, into the September 11th morning. It was an eerie feeling the entire morning.
Really?
Leading up to, very eerie, leading up to the event. So I go downtown to pick up my son with my then wife. She was at work. I go to pick up my son, and I get him on a bike, and we just start walking to the train station. And I'm going to take him to the movies, like right after I work. And interestingly enough, that morning we had a late run, so that put me out at work around 7.
Okay.
The last run, for some reason, which just struck me as odd, was one of the last surviving Holocaust survivors. So I remember looking at him. Yeah, I remember looking at him, and it's eerie when you get to see the tattoo, right?
Yes.
So anyway, we take him to whatever hospital he wanted to go to, and he wanted to go all the way downtown. And me and my partner, we weren't going to sit there and be like, it's too far, we're getting off of work. I'm like, yo, he gets to go to whatever hospital he wants to go to. He wants to go to a hospital in Jersey, we'll take him there, right? So we get him all the way downtown, Beth Israel, I think it was. And then we get back up. I get out of work. I go get my son. We start walking towards 8th Avenue, and I hear people talking about helicopter crashing into a building and a lot of murmur in the street. A lot. I mean, I've never heard people collectively talking about something. And at first I ignored it. I'm walking up the block, and then you hear, hey, no, it was a small plane that hit the building. And I'm like, what building are they talking about? And then like the chatter starts picking up more and more as I'm going up to the block, and people are like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened. And I'm like, all right, this is interesting. So as I get to 8th Avenue, there's a crowd standing in the street. And as they're standing in the street, I'm like, oh shit, it's on. This is real. So me and my son get to 8th Ave. I step in the street, and I see the smoke, and I look down the block, and I'm like, all the way down, it's a straight shot, straight eyesight, or line of sight, sorry, to the Trade Center. So I'm looking, I'm like, oh man.
To where?
The Trade Center, the World Trade Center. So on 8th Avenue, if you stand like dead center in the middle of the street, you can see all the way downtown. And I'm like, and I see the smoke, and I'm like, oh man, that sucks. Then I see the second plane and an explosion, but I don't make the connection. I don't make the
so you witnessed the second plane coming in.
Right. And so I'm like, and from all the way down there, and people like, oh, that was man-made and all this other crazy nonsense. And I'm like, anyway, so I see that, and for a second, I'm thinking to myself,
thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Mary. I'm thinking to myself, I wish I could help, because I forgot for a split second I was an EMT. And I was like, wait a minute, I can't. So I put my son on a bike. I get on the bike, and I told him, hold on, and we ride back to the house. I get upstairs to my upstairs neighbor to watch my son, and she opens the door, and without missing a beat, she goes, "You going down?" I go, "Yeah, I'm going down." I said, "Let Lisa know where I'm going." I said, "Later." I turn around to get the elevator again. Both elevators break down. So I took that as a sign. I said, shit, this is bad. I get down the stairs. I throw the bike on my back. I hump it all the way down 19 floors. I get on the bike. I catch my breath, like focusing, because I knew what this meant. And I didn't know what this was, but I knew this was bad. I didn't know it was a terror attack in the beginning. I just thought this was, like a freak accident kind of deal. And so I get on the street, and then all hell broke loose once I hit 2nd Avenue. Everybody and their mothers was racing down to the Trade Center. Every cop, every fireman, every EMT, off-duty police officers, everybody's flying down there. And I'm on a bicycle like an idiot, right? So I'm chugging away and pedaling as hard as I could. And I almost got crushed by an ESU truck because the guy started cursing at me as he almost hits me. I skate through between a Volkswagen and the fire truck, almost got crushed between them. And I'm flying down, and I'm pedaling the hardest I've ever pedaled in my entire life. I couldn't do that again if you paid me. And so I get down there, and now one part, I jump onto a sidewalk, and I crush an old man with my elbow.
You what?
I look back, I crushed him, meaning I hit him with my elbow as I'm riding. And it's a mountain bike, too, so it's not like a BMX or anything. It's a mountain bike. And I look back, and I think he fell, but I kept riding. So a cop jumps in front of me because now they blocked off a street. And I'm screaming at him from probably 50 feet away or so, EMS. And at the last minute, he jumps out of the way, and then I take the street. So now I'm on the street by myself. There's no one else around me. It gets really fucking eerie. Sorry, it gets really eerie. And as I get down, the street dips down underneath the bridge, underneath the Brooklyn Bridge, and then dips back up. And as it dips up, I see it. But what caught my attention before the towers were everybody who was staring in the street, looking up at the building. So everybody's looking up like this, and I'm like, oh shit. All right, this is real. This is happening. So I go to park my bike. I put a chain around it. I see the first EMS boss. I ask her, what do you need me to do? She goes, who are you? I go, I'm an EMT out of Harlem Hospital. She goes, all right, good. I need you to help me X, Y, and Z. So we start running around doing various things. And then they set up a triage area. And I go, listen, I'm going to look for my dad. He's got to be in the building somewhere. So my father was a Port Authority police officer. He was there for the 93 bombing. I thought he would have been there for this. He wound up being safe, by the way. So now I still think he's in the area. I go looking for him. And then this Spanish lady decides to play the I game. And that game is where people like to, pass out for no damn reason other than, to attention. So she passes out, fakes passing out. I step over her because I'm like, screw this. I knew what it was. And two female EMTs go to pick her up and they're struggling. So I'm like, so I turn back around. I go to help. Right. I grab her. I grab her under the arms. I tell the two female EMTs, grab each leg because this is a big girl. So we go to lift her. And then I hear something go, boom. And I'm like, motherfucker. And everybody standing in front of me, everybody, I mean everyone, stopped what they were doing and looked at the building. And they're like, and I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. In my head, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And then I hear the sound, the freight train sound, the rumbling of the building coming down. I'm like, I'm gonna die, I might as well look. And I go to look, and everybody's still staring, and I'm like, holy shit, lady, we gotta get the hell out of here. And she's still like, playing this game. I'm like, and then fuck it. Before I could leave, the two ladies were gone. And I'm like, all right, fuck it, she's playing this game. And I leave. I take maybe 5-10 steps, maybe. Stop, turn around and go and get her. She's gone. Gone. I look up the block and she's sprinting. I'm like,
oh right.
Fucking kidding me? Yeah, so I'm like, and everybody now is hauling ass. Everybody. And then we're all running up the block. And I'm like, motherfucker. Sorry, I'm cursing this lady out in my head. I'm like, this fucking lady. Because she's like, she was moving. She was moving. She could have played the linebacker or some shit. She moved so fast. I never seen anybody run so fast. Anyway, everybody's hauling ass. One guy falls on me. I jump over him. I go to turn around. Two dudes, without missing a beat, scoop him up and keep running. So now we all keep running. So before that, right before I decided to run, before I decided to leave the lady behind, I remember stopping, looking at the building, looking at 4 or 5 firefighters running up the block, Church Street. They're running up the block. And I could see one guy, the mask is hanging off his arms. He's trying to ditch it. Another guy has it on. Another dude has... Sorry. Has nothing. Another guy has nothing on. And they're running up the block. And then, like, dust crashed on him and then metal.
Wait a minute. He has nothing on?
Meaning, like, he didn't have a mask on. He only had his jacket on.
I'm thinking, wow, we've got Stricker Joe just coming down the road.
Right, no. So he didn't have his helmet. He didn't have a mask on. He just had his bunker gear on. So he's running, and they're all, like I said, in the metal crash on them, and then that's it. And that broke me out of my my trance. And then I started running. That's when I left the lady behind. And I started running, go back for her. She's gone. And we're running up the block. We get to Broadway now. One block seemed like forever. I was like, this shit's going to ever end? And it doesn't. Because as soon as I get to Broadway, I'm like, all right, good. We made it out of the path of the building. I looked to my right, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? And the dust started making its way through. That being said, I look at Chase Bank, and I look at Aubontain. I'm like, delicacy or bank? I'm like, well, I'm not dressed. And I don't know why at that very moment, I thought they're not going to let me in dressed the way I am. the bank. So I ran to Audubon Payne. I get over there, the doors are locked. So now I'm on the door, pulling on it, screaming at the guy to open the door. Two other people standing behind me grab my jacket. I look over, I'm like, hang on. And then the dust doosh right over us. And it was cold. It wasn't hot. I thought it was going to be hot or warm. It was cold. And it felt like someone threw sand in our face. And we're all holding our breath. We're bearing down. And then eyes closed. Then the manager opens the door. Like the asshole he is, he locked, not only he locked it, but he had to use his key to lock it. Like, I don't know why he did that, but he did. So as it goes down, we all get inside. I throw them in first, and then we pile in. You know, like I got them in front, I just shoved everybody in, closed the door, and then started wiping the dust out of our face, our mouth. Because like an idiot, I tried to take a breath in, and I couldn't. It was sort of like the cinnamon challenge. It just attached to my mouth. Anyway, the eeriest scene you could ever see was looking back at the glass window, and it was just dust. And then one person came walking by, and you could see him walking by the glass. And I ran to the door. The manager left the door locked again. I yelled at him, leave this fucking door open, you idiot. What's wrong with you? I said, people out here need help. He's like, I'm so sorry. And he opens the door. And then I go to yell for the person that just walked by, and my voice bounced back off the dust. That was the most eeriest feeling in the world.
Wait a minute. I have to stop you there. Your voice reverberated from the dust?
That's how thick the dust was, right? So it was like being in a room by yourself. It was weird. I was like, whoa. And I'm like, yo. And I closed the door. And then maybe 30 seconds later, that guy, I think it was him. I don't know if it was him, but somebody came back to the door when I let them in. We started washing people's face off. And then that was pretty much it. Then, you know, you saw what saw. Running around for the rest of the day, covered in shit, looking for survivors, looking for people from my station. It was mayhem after that, you know.
That's what I was going to ask. Was it? Of course, it was chaotic, but was it like organized chaos or?
No, not that. Everything, bro. Everything fell apart after the first building fell. The dust started to settle a little bit. I was able to go outside and see if I could find anyone. I must have missed a few dead bodies because I was told where I walked past some cars, there were people who suffocated underneath the cars, right? Because they hit, dust came in and piled up, and they suffocated under them.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there was a lot of people who died that way. So when you look at people, you know, during the Trade Center and they do the memorial names, I wonder how many of those people were the ones that like tried to hide under the cars, or people who were strapped to longboards, and when the building fell, it landed on top of them because they couldn't run anywhere. So a lot of people died various different ways. There was the sound of the bodies hitting the
ground.
hitting the awning. Now, well, the ground was a pop sound, but there was a metal sound. It was like boom, boom, and it was like constant. And I'm like, why? And at the time, I'm thinking, why are firefighters taking so long to force this door? Like, what the hell's taking them so long? Like, it's got to be one hell of a door. I thought it was them banging against something. It was people hitting the awning, and it was a metal awning. And yeah, it was like things like that not went on throughout the day, but in the beginning before the first. So after the first tower fell, it was eerily quiet. You heard Scott packs going off. You heard guys yelling on the radio they need help. They're trapped. There was a lot of that. The second tower came down, and it was complete silence. No more radio traffic. You couldn't hear Scott packs going off. You heard gas mains exploding in the distance. A lot of crazy shit. Sorry, a lot of crazy things went down. Like after the second one, there were reports of a vehicle headed in with a device in the van, heading down at full speed. There was a shootout on the 59th Street Bridge that no one talks about. Right. There was a bomb discovered on the George Washington Bridge a day later. That one I personally sat on the day later. So there was multiple attacks, and they were all white vans.
While you look around, I'm going to let my dog in.
All right.
Come on, Scratch. Okay. Okay. I'm stuck on the gun battle on the bridge.
Yeah, so I didn't find that out till a while later, but I spoke to one guy and I spoke to another cop afterwards, and he goes, "Yeah," he goes, "It wasn't so much of a gunfight as it was they laid into them, so the guys wouldn't get out of the van." But what didn't make sense is that when I asked the officer, because someone else told me this, and he's very well connected in the emergency field, right? Emergency management system. So when he said that, I was like, but they had this explosive device. Why would they? And then the cop said, he says it was light them up or we all die kind of shit. I was like, really? So they didn't hit the explosives in the back. The other guy on the George Washington Bridge, they got him out without ever firing a shot. Um, and that one was confirmed later. Again, weeks later, I found out that had explosives on it as well. That explosives was those two were both large enough to take the bridges out. No one knows where they were going, and no one knows why they weren't reporting. It was sort of like the Oklahoma bombing, right? When that went down, there was talks of another device that never went off, and the media kept that one quiet. Actually, they said they found two more, and then they never reported them again. So the government's always going to hide something, always, and that's why when people tell me they trust the government, I'm like, oh, you stupid, Like, if you trust the government, do me a favor, give me $1,000, and I'll give you back $1,000,000 in 2 weeks if you believe the government's going to help you.
Like Ronald Reagan said, those 9 words that you hear. I'm from the government, and we're here. We're from the government and here to help.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
Wow, Jason. So you ended up just pretty much just thinking on your own and without any organization, just do what you know.
so when that happened, again, I overthink a lot of shit way too much often. But when that happened, I
Me too.
remember, I remember telling myself, I said, if I go back to my battalion, which is in Harlem, they're gonna keep me there, or I can get into the thick of it and help. I went down there and helped. Protocol. A couple of bosses like, well, protocol was for you to come back. I'm like, I'm not coming back. I said, what are you gonna do? Write me up for helping people out? She was like, she goes, fair enough. I go, yeah, it's not fair enough. I said, that's never going to happen. I said, if that happens 8 more times over, I'm not coming back here. I said,
Wow.
simple. I said, even as a firefighter, if that was to happen now, I'm not going to my firehouse. I'm going directly down there to help. I'll tell guys in the firehouse, you'll put my gear on the rig. If you guys are coming down here, bring my gear with you guys. I'll walk back and get my stuff. But I'm not going to the firehouse. That's out, right? Because then what they're going to do, put me in staging, and then I'm just going to sit there and wait. Well, thank you. I can do without the waiting game or being told a couple hours more will get you in there. Fuck that. Go in there on your own. And if you happen to die for helping out, so be it. A lot of guys die helping out or being off duty and going down there.
Mockingjay, thank you very much. Thank you. I've been through several tragedies in a very short amount of time, as you probably know.
Right.
One of them you've helped me through a lot. For those of you who don't know, how I know Jason is that well, I had been watching him. Jason, I've been watching you since you practically started. And I one thing that I remember as you're talking about, everything that happened with 9/11 is things were going down in New York City about 3.5 years ago.
Right.
And I'll never forget you saying, okay, there was these cops right here, and then there were these guys right here, and they were about to go at it. And you were like, hey, well, you know what, guys, I just might have to throw my stuff down and just uh what'd you say?
Jump into the mix.
Yeah, that's exactly what you said. Yeah. And I
I,
thought, you know what? I like this guy. I like this guy. And so that's how I just kept up with you. And then when I had my personal fire, not the wildfire, but my personal fire, when my home burned down, I was numb and I didn't know what to do. And I called Jason because, and we'll get to it, but I had lost 10 years of preps.
Right.
And I was devastated. I didn't know what to do. That was my main concern. And so Jason was a gentleman, and he organized um, some people to help me out, and it was pretty amazing. Thank you, thank you. I
Well,
still have that stuff. Thank you.
very good.
And those
Very good.
people are still friends of mine and in the chat today too. So yeah.
Very good.
Now Jason, hang on. I want to ask you about New York City a little bit. You did a video not too long ago about how New York City is getting worse. And in my opinion, as New York goes or LA goes, everything goes.
Right.
Can you tell me a little bit how New York is different? Because in the 90s, it really cleaned up with Giuliani.
Right.
So go on.
Well, De Blasio started the wrecking ball, right? So he got here. He was like, "Oh, these people are disparaged. They're treated badly by the police." I'm like, "What?" And with that, they started handcuffing the police. They started allowing a lot of things to get out of hand. The drug epidemic is out of control. Now, I wouldn't blame that on De Blasio, because when there's a drug epidemic and it moves faster than police officers can respond, that's always a problem. But with the drug epidemic, and now kids wearing masks on trains and subways and running into stores and robbing, they're trying to right now. They implemented a law stating that you can't wear a mask in the subway system, and you can't. What was it? You can't wear a mask in the subway system, and you can't wear it in stores, or certain stores, that is, because they're cleaning out the stores. The kids, right? They're running in there and haphazardly being jerk offs.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being a kid, but I don't remember being that bad. Anyway, the crime in the city is out of control. There are shootings every day, not just about, but every day. People are being more and more people are being raped. Women, rather, are being raped on a daily basis, it seems. And those are the ones that report it. But a lot of them that are reporting it is because they're also getting the shit kicked out of them. So they can't move. Somebody finds them. Oh, shit. There was a migrant that just raped a 13-year-old girl, right? That one's all over the media here in New York. In fact, he filmed it, and he tied up another kid so that the kid could watch. So, and that guy, man, he gets to Rikers Island, it's on. He's going to pay a heavy penalty for what he did. But still, doesn't stop the animals and the monsters that are roaming about here in New York.
Mm-hmm. I was actually told it was this morning, as a matter of fact. Yeah,
man, hold on.
Yeah. Okay, I'll let my dog out.
All right.
So what do you think so far, you guys? Is this interesting to you? Yeah? Mail call.
Yeah.
What'd you get?
Business cards. These are business cards.
Okay. Okay. Angry pepper cards. Yeah. I'll take one.
These are actually photography cards for my photography business. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah. So the other problem with the city is packages, right? So the UPS guy left them on the door, by the door. If I didn't open up the door in 6.8 seconds, they would have been gone. Right?
Get out of here.
They you know what? So it got a little better because there was a scumbag in the building that actually left, and I couldn't wait for him to leave. Actually, I wish bodily harm on him, but I haven't seen him in a while. And yeah, they steal packages. But they steal packages everywhere. This is not anything. This is not anything new, but
it is to me.
they steal packages all over the place. Like, they get out of control. So here in the building, because it's in a building and there's no cameras in the hallway, there's no anything, people steal all the time.
Wow. You know, I just found out this morning that in California, in Orange County, California, okay,
Yeah.
that people are going in and kicking in doors when people are still home and ransacking them and then
Yeah.
saying goodbye and then taking off.
Yes, pushing robberies, but that's a new thing in California.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I invite people to kick my door in, and they'll find out the hard way. Um, Things are gonna go south. Well, listen, I undoubtedly will probably go to jail behind it. I'm fine with that, but they're gonna find out the hard way if they kick in this door.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of brutal shit in this apartment. Um, and just simple shit, baseball bats, things of that nature. But the gun problem here is out of control, out of control, and
Mm-hmm.
they don't want anybody owning a firearm. Though they did pass a law stating that you um, have to let citizens carry firearms.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
That's new for New York.
that is. But the song and dance that the city's on is like it's insane. They're trying to stop you. They're making it hard for you to get it. It's like everything under the sun.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Um, so how did you get into prepping?
So I read a book called 1 Second After,
Yeah.
and after I read the book, there was a scene in there where
That
people,
was a good
kids,
book, by the way.
very good book, and there was a scene in there where kids were starving, and I remember thinking to myself, yeah, no, I don't want my kids to starve. I'm out on that, right? So, being that I didn't want them to starve, I started prepping. Plus, when I read the afterword, right, the afterwords by Newt Gingrich, and then it led you to a site called empcommission.org, and I started reading that, and I'm like, oh, this is real. So this is not just in fantasy. I started preparing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then, so is that difficult to do in the city, being urban?
Yeah, it always is because in the city, you just have a lack of room. You can't grow your own food. I mean, you could have grow bags and you can grow potatoes and things like that. I mean, not that you can't, you can. It's just a bit of a pain in the ass.
Hmm.
You
So
know,
where
to
do you
do.
keep, without getting into great detail, do you, keep your preps, there at home? Like, well, I made a mistake. I made a big mistake.
Okay.
And I had mine underneath my home in a crawl space. My
Okay.
mistake was this: I should have spread things around instead of keeping things all in one place,
Right.
because then I risk the chance of losing it, and I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Right. So I have things spread out. I have things in an apartment, and I have things in a storage unit.
okay, okay.
Right. So not everything's in one spot, because I've heard those stories before. Matter of fact, during Hurricane Sandy, there was a
Hmm.
guy on Long Island. I'm sorry. What was that? Breezy Point. And Breezy Point got crushed, by the way. And there was a guy there, and I remember that someone told me he was a prepper, and all of his stuff was flooded, almost washed away. Right. So he kept everything in one spot. So after I heard that story, I was like, well, my stuff's not going to get washed away, but if there's a fire in this apartment, everything can go. So I have a storage unit for that reason.
Hmm.
I have
Yeah.
stuff in the apartment as well, but um, I also have things in the storage unit just in case the apartment catches fire and everything burns. Uh, it won't be a travesty. You know what
I know exactly what you mean.
I mean? And it's funny because not funny, but when it happened and you told me about it, I was thinking, damn, this is why like it's crazy stories like that, like what you told me. It's crazy stories like that is the reason why I put things in other spots for that
Yeah.
exact reason.
Hmm. Yeah. And so, for anybody else for anything, anything that you value, And if you have, a lot of it or whatever, don't keep everything in one spot.
Nope.
Don't. You know what a lot of people out here do is they go in somewhere in the woods and they bury things.
Yes, I have a buddy who does that. He has a lot of land, and he has caches all over his land. And I'm like,
Hmm.
and he told me in Hudson Valley Prepping and Survival, he's like, if I pass away, you have caches all over the place. You guys are gonna have to dig it up. I'm like, and with his nephew, he says, if you can help my nephew dig this stuff up, that'd be great. I'm like, yeah, fine, but we're gonna be out here for a couple of days because he forgot where he buried a lot of this stuff too.
No.
So there's that problem. And
Yeah.
I said, I don't mind. I mean, I'll camp out here for a couple of days, and as long as your wife's fine with it, But I really have to go up and see him. But yeah, he talked about caches being all over. His nephew has a couple caches there. I have one. I think Mike has a couple. But again, they're all over the place, and
Hmm.
it's definitely going to present an interesting problem should he pass away.
Hmm. Yeah. You know, tell me a little bit about urban prepping. Because a lot of people they don't live out in the sticks like I do. I live beyond the boonies. Um, there off of this highway, it's not well traveled, and then I'm like 8 miles back on a dirt road, and I live in literally the outback.
Okay,
Yeah, and
urban urban,
so, huh?
urban prepping sucks. There's no other way around it. It just sucks. It's a pain in the ass. Again, a lack of space. If let's say something goes down and something pops off, um, you're gonna have people wondering, how come you look so well? You know, why does he still look decent? Like you're gonna lose weight regardless. If you have a stressful situation like that, like you
Mhm,
have a lot of preppers that are under this notion that they're gonna prepare, and that whatever disaster is gonna happen, they're gonna truck through it fine. You're gonna be stressed the hell out. You're probably not gonna eat for a couple of days, especially whatever goes down. Most people won't. Some people might, but if you're stressed out about what's going on in the world, you're gonna lose weight. You're gonna drop a lot of weight. You're not gonna eat as much. Until you get used to what's going on, then maybe you'll start eating regularly again. But you don't want to eat regularly during a disaster, during something that's prolonged. You want to spread
mhm.
that food out and make it last. You know,
What about water?
Water's a big problem for those of us that live in the city. It's one of the biggest problems. I think it's like the only problem. Everything else I can figure out. I can't figure out water. You know, I don't have the luxury for that. Water is always going to be an issue. Always.
Mhm, mhm. And so, do you have plans if for a SHTF?
No.
Uh,
Well, no. Sorry, that's a lie. I do. I have a plan. I have a plan that involves hooking up or connecting with a couple people. Should I retire in the next? It looks like I might be retiring next year. If I retire next year, then I'm going to be looking for land out west somewhere or down south somewhere.
oh, out west by me,
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. What, you still in Wyoming?
Wyoming.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. And before we hang up, I'll show you the ones around. We have 20 acre. I got 20 acres here,
Okay.
and
How's the
that's
husband
not
doing?
what's. Oh, he's okay. He's in California right now.
What's he doing out there?
Oh, he's got business. Yeah.
That's right. He was always traveling a lot too.
Hmm.
All
Yeah.
right.
So, um, gosh, those are kind of my notes. Um, did anybody from the chat have any questions that they want to ask him that you want to ask Jason? Because I can go on and on and on, but I know that you're on the time crunch here. So, um, uh, why we see stuff come up, well, I'll ask. Um, are your plans to stay in New York?
No, if I retire, I'm out of here. This city can kiss my ass. Um, there's nothing here, and everything's just getting worse. And it's amazing that when they were allowing people to keep wearing masks after the whole, Mr. 19 event passed, after all of that was said and done, they were still allowing people to wear masks. And I remember thinking that it's going to do nothing but encourage criminals to be criminals because then I can hide their face. Right?
Mm-hmm.
We're watching them ransack stores throughout the nation because their face is covered. Now they're passing a law stating they don't want them to cover their face. You created a problem. Now you're trying to create a solution, but the solution is going to bring with heavy consequences because people are not going to sit there and be like, I have to take my mask off. Why? Because of kids? No. You're gonna have people who just, cowards who want to wear their mask because they listen, you have some kind of ailment or some kind of immune deficiency disorder, fine. But then there were a lot of people who keep saying, well, I have immune deficiency disorder. Well, you weren't wearing a mask before the incident happened. Now that it's happening, now you want to wear it and use that as an excuse. I call bullshit on a lot of that, like 90% of the time. Still, point is that there's definitely they definitely created a lot of problems here in the city. In fact, the migrant situation was another problem they created. It's financially draining the city, and now the city is trying to collect everywhere they can. Meanwhile, still giving migrants a break, right? So they're getting free of everything, but I get a parking ticket now. Now they're threatening to shut down my registration or tow my car because of a parking ticket. But these guys can come over here illegally and get all of the free stuff that goes along with that illegalness. And us citizens here in New York City are also paying more in taxes because they're raising like property taxes throughout the city. They're trying to raise water, what you call a water hike. They're hiking water usage tax, and that tax goes back to the city, not the company or whoever's charging them. I live in a building where I don't have to pay for water and electric. Thank God. Building's always been like that. But still, that's why a lot of people are done with the city trying to get out.
Nutmeg has a question here. She says that she apologizes for being late, but she says, what do you think of the 9/11 outages happening? I'm in Massachusetts and one just happened.
The outages are cyber attacks, whether we're doing it or an outside source is doing it. It's sort of irrelevant. What you need to do is just be ready because it's going to get worse. There was a bus system somewhere here in the United States that was shut down because of that cyber attack. So we just have to be Johnny on the spot, keep our heads about us, and we should be fine.
Okay. Stephanie is asking about rotating items.
Always rotate them after about 6 months to a year, depends on what the items are. A lot of the times they can go a few years if they're canned goods. If they're freeze dried, they can definitely go a few years. But you can cycle them out if you're eating them, right? A lot of the stuff I'm throwing away because of all the chemicals in it, right? And I'm starting anew. So that is it's in itself a problem. When I sat there and I gathered or built my supply on Chef Boyardee, raviolis. Now I'm looking at the ingredients and I'm like, I'm gonna eat this afterwards and get sick. No. So a lot of stuff I am transitioning over and throwing out, which sucks.
I want to take a couple more questions here, and then I want to ask you about that. Nikki wants to know: have you ever read any books by Michael Savage?
No, not at all.
Okay. Liz is asking, what is your ideal property?
I think like everybody's land, a water, a stream, some kind going through, some kind of water source, something that has a well underneath it, or where I can access water. Tucked away between two mountains, so I don't have to worry about people and their bullshit. Anything that's a good 3 hours away by driving from people, right? So the 3 hour drive means that if the shit hits the fan and there's an EMP, that's a couple of days walk, right? That's what I want.
That's kind of where I am. Yeah.
That's good. Very good.
It is, yeah. Let me get one more here. Just a second. Okay, this is coming from Ireland. He says, what do you think about building 7?
So a lot of people, and I hate to to bust the conspiracy theory bubble on this one, but Building 7 had a giant gash in the building on the south side of the building. So when people were looking at Building 7, they were looking at it from the north side. And then when it came down, people were like, well, why did it come down? There was nothing wrong with it. A giant slice through the building. It was probably, and I'm understating this, maybe 10 to 7 stories of a gash in the side of a building that would absolutely cause the building to fail, especially after the fire started going, right? So there is that. Do I discount completely that they took the building down through way of detonation? Absolutely not. I don't discount that 100%. But I just tell people that there was damage to the building, and that could have been the reason why it came down.
I have a question for you. I think I know the answer, but you're very controversial. How does that affect you? Do you don't care?
So I remember growing up and always being told, never be fake, don't be a liar, this, that, and the third. Now, I have lied, obviously. Like, when I dated my past, I'm married, and the nonsense I've done growing up, I've lied. But the one thing I don't lie is when it comes to integrity and how I am, right? So, obviously, like, if I'm on a date and I'm dating 8 women, I'm not going to sit there and tell all 8 women I'm dating 8 women, right? That was back then. Now, if I'm dating 8 women, I tell women, yo, I'm still on the market. I'm not, I'm dating this one, that one, and this one. Take it or leave it, right? That's now. But back then, my buddy used to always tell me, because I used to be straightforward with people. They were like, well, what do you think about this situation? I'm like, X, Y, and Z, or why would you say that so bluntly? Because it needs to be said, right? So shit like that. And growing up, my partner used to always tell me, you can't be, and this is his quote, you can't be a real nigga in a fake world. He goes, right. He goes, because people don't like that. And I go, well, they're going to have to not like me then, because this is what it is, right? I don't play the game. I don't play it at all. And so that's why people are always like, man, why, I try to stand in the middle as much as I can, right? So when there's certain things like 9/11, I stand in the middle with that, because I do think that there had to be a hand in it, but I'm not completely sold on it. They talk about Putin being a righteous leader for the world. He isn't. He's just Russian propaganda, and I understand their propaganda as well as American propaganda. So I get hate. I lost 1,000 subscribers because I told people that Putin was the enemy. So be it. I lost a few hundred subscribers when I told people I didn't trust Trump. I look at Trump as a politician. Am I voting for him this time around? Yes. Do I trust him in? No. It's where I stand in life, because I try to look at things with a wide angle lens, no pun intended. But I try to look at things with a wide angle lens and try to pick out and sense where the bullshit is.
I'm looking for the pun.
Right. Well, the whole photography thing is why I said wide angle lens.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking,
right.
Man, I'm not getting something.
So, for those that know, I'm a photographer. But anyway, yeah. So I'll always be controversial. Listen, guys in my firehouse were like, "Yo, you can't fucking say that." I'm like, "Why not?" And they're like, and a couple guys, let's see, we're thinking it. All right, so I'll think of a diplomatic way to say it. And I just shoot straight from the hip. So people will never call me a liar. People will never say, he doesn't. He says one thing and does the other. No, if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. I won't make excuses if I don't do something. I'll tell people I'm being lazy. It doesn't pay to lie anymore. It really doesn't. I'm too old for that. Either you're gonna take me or you're not. Somebody said, Nutmeg said you're objective in your thinking. Yeah, I try to be objective as possible. Like the whole LGBT movement. I definitely don't like it. I tell people all the time. I said, listen, you want to be gay, fine, but there is something called tact, and just leaving it there, and don't tell people that I have to. This new movement with blacks and gays, where if somebody says something to you don't like, they're racist or they're homophobic. Those are the two groups you're in. I told somebody that I didn't like the fact that they casted a transgender character for the Blade Runner TV show. And because I said that, they were like, "You're homophobic." I said, "No, I just don't think we need to have, we don't need to have a man pretending to be a woman in a TV show. That's all." Someone says, "Well, they're playing a robot." Yeah, a female robot. Still, like I don't think we need to see that in every TV show. And people are like, "You're homophobic." I'm like, it doesn't work that way. You know, if I told people about George Floyd, "Oh, you're racist." All right, I can't win. So I can't win in society. Liberals will call me racist, and conservatives will call me an asshole. Such is life. I, and, and
You're
I don't
cracking me up here.
and I don't lose sleep over this. I'm not like, how can I make more friends? Fuck them. I don't care. You know.
Uh-huh. I'm going to switch gears here. One thing that you were talking about yesterday on your live stream was chemicals in food. And I'm really big on that because obviously, well, like I told you, I live beyond the boonies. I live between two towns, Jackson Hole and another one called Pinedale.
Okay.
And 45 minutes each way, one way. And so that's just to get to a grocery store. And so I do all the cooking here, and everything is done from scratch. And that started me into, well, wait a minute, conveniences and everything like that. So I started letting go of different conveniences to try to put my hand at how can I do this without these conveniences.
Okay.
And then I started educating myself on how bad they are for you, these preservatives and stuff in the food. And so you had made a comment earlier about Chef Boyardee, and you're trying to um, get rid of stuff of old things and bring in new things. How
All
is
right.
that going for you? And can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I mean, so my father passed away from Alzheimer's, right? And there's a lot of finding, a lot of studies with the food we're eating definitely being the culprit because of all the chemicals that are in it, right? Not to mention the million other things that people are coming down with: strokes, heart attacks, um, neurological diseases, gastrointestinal diseases, all because of the shit we're eating. And when you look at other countries, a lot of that stuff is lessened, like almost not that it's non-existent, but it's way less than it is here. So trying to now switch gears at 46 is way better than never doing it. Is it hard? Yes, because you're spending more money for organic food, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the big issue, is that everything now is priced higher because it's organic. They get you with that. Oh, it's organic. Let's pay more, but you're doing less. But it does take more work to keep it that way. It didn't 50 years ago. Now it does now. So something, it doesn't make sense in the organic world either. I know a lot of them like, yeah, but you got to do so much more to keep it organic. No, you don't. Because again, 50 years ago, hell, maybe even 40 years ago, we didn't have to do all of this to keep it organic. It just was.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with all of the stuff that they're spraying our fruits and vegetables with, the stuff is translating over into the food we're eating. They're using
Mm-hmm.
pink thinners and things of that nature to make sure that our food tastes better or smells good. All of these
Mm-hmm.
things are inflammatory to the human body, which is causing a multitude of ailments.
We have had the luxury of buying beef. Our governor during COVID, he one good thing he did was allow people to go directly to the middleman.
Right.
And I mean, cut out the middleman and go directly to the grower. So, I just go down to the Marin Six down the road and I bought a cow off of them. And it's in my freezer downstairs. And
Right.
and you know, here's the thing is anybody can do it. It's not just people that live in Wyoming. So if you have the capability to where you can go throw down $1,500 in a shot, and then, get it home with you and get it in a, a deep freezer, you're hooked up. But not a lot of people want or can do that. And a lot of it has to do with convenience.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then there is, the 4-Hers. I don't know if you have that in New York City.
Before what?
4-H.
I don't know what that is.
4-H, it's kind of like it's where the young kids, where they raise the animals for food, and then at the fairs they auction them off.
Oh, okay. All right. There might be. I mean, Adriana's on here. She might know that, but I don't know what that is. I never heard of that.
Okay. That might be something to consider checking into is the next time you have a local fair, do they have 4-H there? And then can you go and, buy a pig off of, Joey, and a half a cow off of Susie,
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I'll look into it.
Yeah. So it's just, something interesting. So, okay, Michelle H says they're in Canada and she has 4-H
Or
up there. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, FFA, the Future Farmers of America. Does that sound familiar?
And Adriana says no, haven't heard of it either. All right, she hasn't heard of it. No. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that might be something that, maybe so many people in the chat or whatever that you guys can look into, if that might be an option. Yeah. Oh, you were a 4-H kid. Okay. Yeah. Is it okay? Stephanie wants to know for you: is it advisable to have a deep freezer stocked?
Yeah, especially if you have a backup power source to keep it running when the power goes down. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. That is one thing that we had done was there's something out there called an EMP shield.
Right.
And so I've got one out there on our truck, and then one here for our house, in case, say, like we were hit with a solar flare or whatever, we could it wouldn't fry our house or anything in it. You know what I mean?
Yes, I
And
did.
those they are very economical for what they could end up saving you. Just
Oh,
saying.
like I said, I'll look into it and see what we come up with as a version of
Absolutely.
that here. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, Jason, I promised only to keep you for like 20 or 30 minutes, and I've kept you for 60, almost 69 minutes here. So I appreciate it. Would you consider coming back? Because there's so much more I want to talk to you about.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd come back. I wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate that because there's a ton I want to talk to you about. And I'm sure that now some people in here are getting more exposed to you, and they might have questions that they'll be emailing me. So if any of you have questions or anything like that, go ahead and email them to me. And then Jason and I will get back together and we'll do this again and get more questions answered and see what we can do.
All right.
Yeah. Jason, I thank you for your time. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so
Thank you for having
much.
me on.
Absolutely. Hey, and I want to say thanks so much for your support when, my home burned down and had nothing.
No problem.
Thank you.
You're
No
welcome.
problem. He says, no problem. It was everything to me. It was everything to me. So thank
All right.
you.
You're
So
welcome.
thank you, chat. Thank you, mods. Thank you for the support that you guys have given. And make sure to watch The Angry Prepper. He's very entertaining and a lot of good info. Yeah.
All right, guys. See you later.
We'll see you later. Bye, Jason.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you later.